Restored Marriage Testimony. I did not want to lose my idol. Today's promise. If you make the Lord your refuge, if you make the Most High your shelter, no evil will conquer you, no plague will come near your home. Psalm chapter 91, verses 9 through 10. Jacinta, how did your restoration journey actually begin? It took me 5 months to write this testimony. I apologize for not having sent it many months ago, but I believe that the Lord continues to work in our lives in an amazing way. My restoration journey began after the Lord finally broke my pride, and I had made so many tremendous mistakes, and I ask that you read this and not make the same mistakes. After discovering Trevor's infidelity, I made a terrible scene. I accused him. I took his things out of the house, and my children witnessed all of this. I really felt I had every right, and well, against his will, Trevor came back a few weeks later. They became months of effort, trying to rebuild this marriage that in the end were exhausting months, full of intrigues, more lies, lording it over Trevor and doing everything I wanted because I believed I had every right. Finally, I couldn't stand this anymore, and I ended up leaving the house. This terrible mistake caused Trevor to look for the other woman a week after I left home and start a public relationship with this woman. When I was away from home, I found out the news about it, and in that pain, I decided to look for a lawyer. According to me, to get a divorce as quickly as possible. Finally, the lawyer never managed to contact Trevor to reach a mutual agreement. Then I looked for another one, and he told me this: "Madam, you have a crisis, and I see that you are not yet ready to face the divorce process." He sent me to a psychologist, and the psychologist told me, "You have the green light to divorce and attend my sessions." One afternoon, leaving one of these sessions to start accepting the divorce, I ended up in a church, and I asked God with all my strength, "Lord, help me, and I never went back to the lawyer or to the famous acceptance sessions. I remember leaving my parents' house desperate to go to a church closest to me, and there I would spend mornings and entire afternoons. I went through all the churches in the city, praying rosaries, worshiping, attending the evangelical church, pastors, priests, and whatever you can imagine. Without understanding what was happening, I had no idea that it was a spiritual warfare. I did not understand anything. I only knew that I did not want to lose my idol. Yes, ladies, my idol. How many times did the Lord wait for me in a corner while I idolized Trevor? I lived and breathed for him, and I trusted and believed that Trevor should look for me repentant and humiliated. That was what I expected. According to me, that was the least he could do. While in praise, I clearly felt my physical and spiritual brokenness, and the next day I took my children and returned home repentant and afraid. The Lord has already begun to work on me and took away my pride, and He was the one who took me back to my house, for which I should have never left. I still thought that Trevor would be happy to see us and for having us at home. None of that happened. He was upset that we were at home and asked me to keep my distance, because he had decided to live his life since he did not love me, and to do what seemed best to him. The grace of the Lord is infinite, and with the little I had known of His word, He kept me on my feet. At night I looked for help with marriages, and this blessed ministry came out as the first option, and a book that captivated me called How God Can and Will Restore Your Marriage. I read the first lines and I cried with emotion, and I fell on the floor when reading. I saw myself exactly there portrayed as a Pharisee, contentious, proud manipulator. Well, everything bad you can imagine, and I thought I was the victim of a man who had loved me, and I had taken it upon myself to turn him against me. I felt very ashamed, and there I asked the Lord to calm him down. have mercy on me and make me a good woman. Be the light in my house and the lives of my children and Trevor. That's how it all began. How did God change your situation, Jacinta, as you sought Him wholeheartedly? The Lord has done wonderful things in my life. I can say, dear sisters, that day by day the Lord gives me His promises, His miracles. It is really beautiful to live in His will. There is a paragraph in Aaron's book that says, "What would we do to get our marriage back? Even believe and have faith in something that we do not see?" And so it was that I turned with all my strength to the Lord. I learned to praise Him, to pray, fast, and I saw how He fulfilled my desires instantly. When I learned to let go of Trevor and search madly for the Lord, my heavenly husband returned his heart to me, exactly 40 days into my fight. I remember with so much love, and I miss those moments when my children accompanied me and prostrated themselves on the floor and prayed in their words for their father, and sang on the floor completely prostrated, convinced, and loving the Lord. They were really perfect days. I never lacked for anything. What principles from God's Word or through our resources did the Lord teach you during this trial, Jacinta? Most importantly, when you will love God above all things, you will have no more idols. Get out of the way and let go. This was so wonderful that in so much time I devoted to Him, I did not realize when the Lord took all the bad memories, the words, the things that I heard, that I saw. The Lord took everything and deposited in the depths of the sea. Never returned to me, not a single memory. Do not leave the house, because the woman who does it is like the harlot who itches her feet for leaving the house. When I read this in the book, it was a slap in my face, and my pride was even more broken. Though Trevor was harsh with me during that time of battle, I took care of his clothes, ironed them with love, and was grateful to be back in my house. Before, during 15 years of marriage, I never took care of his clothes. Now I cooked and served him with love, and in my mind I said, sometimes crying, because there were many very humiliating moments where I said, "Lord, it is you I serve." And that idea made me imagine that the one I had at the table was my Lord. I learned to keep quiet, to be prudent, to be obedient, to submit even though I saw acts with the other woman and Trevor. I learned to remain quiet in prayer. I learned to praise His name in prayer and praises. What were the most difficult times that God helped you through, Jacinta? I remember that those days Trevor drank a lot, and one of those came, and although he was a good drunk, well, he never caused a problem or anything like that. He always went to bed quietly. This time, in that early morning, he suddenly got up and cried a lot and threatened to take his life, because he said that he is a bad man, and took a knife. Really, there I knew who the enemy was. I was filled with fear, and I did not know what to do. And there in my mind I remember saying, "Lord, save us, help me," and I began to say Psalm 91, and Trevor left the knife and went back to bed and slept like a baby. During this time of battles, the Lord took care of Trevor every night, and at the end of the day the Lord gave him to me safe and sound, because he drank a lot. And when he arrived, I remember that I expected him to fall asleep, and I would get up to adore him and thank him for what he did for us. Many times I fell asleep on the floor praying and praising him. Today I remember those days. I am filled with emotion, and I feel like crying, just remembering the infinite love that he gave me. Jacinta, what was the turning point of your restoration? After Trevor's heart turned back to me, we moved to another city. However, the other woman visited Trevor in my current city, and he also went to the old city for work, which was very painful. When one day in the morning my beloved Lord asked me to fast for 21 days, and without understanding I started fasting after 2 days. I was praying for the other woman, asking for mercy for her, asking her to be happy, to find a man who loves her and grants her happiness. 18 days passed, and Trevor told me that he was leaving home forever. I just prostrated myself in prayer, and suddenly my beloved Lord woke me up at 4 in the morning, and it was Trevor asking to come home. The next day he came back, and a few days later he told me that the Lord woke him up in the morning with an inexplicable anguish and pain for our children. Tell us how it happened, Jacinta. Did Trevor just walk in the front door? Jacinta, did you suspect or could you tell you were close to being restored? After the time of separation that I myself caused, I returned home ashamed, and my battle was with Trevor at home. It is a very difficult battle, but when I concentrated only on my Lord and on adoring Him and dying in my flesh day by day, I gave Trevor up. Each day was a huge jump. After giving me so many insults, he now tells me every moment that he was captivated with my tranquility, with the peace that I transmitted to my children, and in my actions. Would you recommend any of our resources in particular that helped you, Jacinta? Dear brides, flee from the false advice and of the struggles of the flesh and from what the world says. Embrace this beautiful ministry strongly. Here they offer us resources tested 100% for effectiveness of their material, books, videos, courses, etc. We are many families that the Lord has brought back to life through these blessed books. Do not stop reading them. This book is exclusively made and taught by God, who used Aaron as the vessel along with her testimonies. Would you be interested in helping encourage other women, Jacinta? Yes. Either way, Jacinta, what kind of encouragement would you like to leave women with in conclusion? Dear brides, the best of this ordeal you are now going through is meeting and getting to know your heavenly husband. This beautiful husband will take care of you, giving you back a man who loves you and takes care of you from the pieces that there are of you. He will pick them up and return a beautiful creature that will be light wherever she goes. Don't be afraid, just believe, trust, pray, fast. Don't get tired of praising Him, and stand still and take your place and just watch as the Lord of Lords, Jehovah, King of hosts, will win your battle. Just pray and continue in prayer, dear sister.